Hi, I'm Ben Homan with OHS TV Studio's Logan Legend Spotlight. I'm here today with Shannon Grus. Shannon, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, I heard that you live in Rosebud and you're actually the mayor of Rosebud. Is that correct?
I am. I have lived in Rosebud for 30 years, and I've been mayor for 17 years.
Mm.
So, more than half of my life of living there, I've been the mayor.
Been the mayor? So, what made you decide to move to Rosebud in the first place?
That's a great question. So, at the time, I worked for the Girl Scout Council of Greater St. Louis, and I worked from home. And my husband worked in Union, Missouri. We grew up in Union, and I had Franklin and Crawford counties as my territory. So it didn't really matter exactly where I lived as long as because I had to travel those counties. And we found this super cute little house in Rosebud. Went to view it on a Sunday and put a contract on it within an hour. And there were 30 backup contracts and like 100 phone calls on that property within a week. So
Oh.
we were lucky that we were the first contract.
Yeah.
And we actually bought it thinking we would just live there for a little while and then sell it,
Hmm.
and we ended up loving the town and loving the people. And so we've stayed.
Yeah, Rosebud is like a more like classic, like classy town with like I feel like it would be like really warming and welcome to like people who move there and stuff.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And, we felt like immediately we were embraced as kind of family, even though
Hmm.
we weren't. And it's just, we decided, even when our kids we had kids and our house became smaller, we decided to add on to the house versus buy something different because we loved our neighbors. We loved the area. So we're like,
Yeah.
let's just add on.
Yeah, that sounds great. Speaking of the house, I heard that there was an article online on the E-Missourian called "This Is Our Town." Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So several years ago, after I used to work for East Central College, and I was really dealt with the Missourian a lot. And the owner at the time, the editor, he often said, "I want to do a story on you as a female mayor, and you've been in Rosebud." And I kept putting it off and saying, "No, you don't want to do a story on me." Well, they finally did it.
Hmm.
And so it was just really a story about the town. I tried to focus on how the town is really a really strong community. A little bit about how I became mayor. Kind of they went through that little story, what got me involved. But really, it was about how Rosebud as a community is really this great little supportive community that is kind of like one big family.
Hmm.
And so that was really what the article focused on.
Yeah, it sounds great. I mean, Rosebud does is like a really good town for
It is.
people. Yeah. So, how did you get into the mayor position in the first place, and what made you decide to be the mayor?
So, um, flashing back through my life, my father, again, I grew up in Union. He was an alderman. My grandmother was the first female county treasurer in the state of Missouri. So I have a little bit of that in my background. But my dad always said, if you think something is wrong, if you're not willing to step up and change it, then don't complain about it, right?
Yeah.
So I found out, this was again a long time ago, so I'm going to preface that, even longer than 17 years because I actually ran for alderman and was an alderman first. Um, there was a dog catcher in town, and I found out that what they did is if they caught your dog and you didn't claim it within 3 days, they killed your dog.
That is insane.
So yeah, now again, this is a long time ago. I'm not sure any dogs were ever killed, but just the idea of it like kind of put me over the edge. So I went to a meeting and spoke up about it, and then decided that I needed to change the way it was being done. So I ran
Hmm.
for alderman and became an alderman, and then I actually lost the next alderman race, and then decided to run for mayor. I had a bunch of people kind of rally me to run for
Yeah.
mayor,
Yeah.
and I ran as a write-in against an incumbent. So, if you're not familiar with that, if there's an incumbent on the ballot and you want to run for a write-in, you actually have to register your write-in candidacy, and so they have to
Okay.
spell your name correctly. And Grus is a little tricky. A lot of people want to put an extra S or a
Yeah.
U, like an E on the end. So I actually won the election by one vote.
Whoa. That
So,
that was a close call. Yeah.
and ever since then, I've never had anyone run against me.
Mm.
So,
Well,
but
that's good. So, you said that Rosebud was a warming and welcoming community, right?
yes.
So, is there any characters that stand out in Rosebud? Any people that like just stood out to you in the community?
Oh, I think there's been a lot. I think you can go through just some really great people. We had Waymire Ford and the Waymire brothers are just really great community people. Obviously, that's closed now, but they've been a stalwarts of the community. Kim and Ron Brown, who owned the Rosebud General Store for years, also were just great. Now we have new owners there, and he does a great job. We have new folks coming in, and I feel like they're taking up the banner, from the Clancy's, who, are super community supportive, to we still have the Zelches that are really involved in the community. And, making sure that we have a Rosebud Area Enrichment Association that does a lot. Our park, we're interesting because our park is not owned by the city. It's owned by a private organization.
Mm,
It's the Rosebud Park Association, and so they manage the park and they run all kinds of events in the park to have that park available for people. So
that's
that's unique, and again, kind of shows this sense of community. Most places, the city runs the park, and
yeah.
it's a cost to them.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of unique events. We have our fireworks every year that brings in between 8 and 10,000 people to Rosebud.
That's
Um,
a lot.
it's a lot of people,
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
and that's all run by a group of volunteers that puts on the fireworks show. So
Hmm.
it truly is. And then this last week with losing our chief of police, it really has shown
Yeah.
Rosebud is such a tight community and what a devastating loss it's been,
Hmm.
but also how we've rallied around to support each other and support the family.
Yeah. Rosebud is a very, very sounds like a very warming community again, and yeah, that sounds like a great place for people to move to, and
It
for people
is.
to just start like a new chapter of their life.
Absolutely.
Speaking of new chapters of life, what advice do you have for OHS students graduating and going into that next chapter?
So I would give the same advice that I gave my two children, and that is there is no set path for you in your life. You can choose your own way and be passionate about what you do, and it will work out. Follow your dream and be passionate, and don't listen to all the noise, because sometimes things change and life happens, and
Yeah,
just kind of chart your course and be committed to it.
that is some great advice. Well, thank you for coming here today and interviewing with OHS TV Studio Local Legend Spotlight, and just thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for choosing me. So.
You're welcome.